you really probably can't lose more money than I have.
Oh, well, I think I have.
Well, yeah.
I think I have.
Okay, but like I'm probably in the top 5%.
Yeah, top 5%. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Hey there. Welcome to another episode of the Overlap Podcast. And if you are new or coming back for you've been gone for a little while, the Overlap Podcast is where we discuss and study the overlaps between work, fitness, family, faith, parenting, and leadership, with the idea that becoming better in one aspect of your life helps you become better in all aspects of your life. We're doing that by simplifying big business brilliance for small business leaders. And through the lessons of business, we're passionate about helping entrepreneurs make a difference in their communities, their lives, and their businesses. So, welcome back, like I said, and thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And good morning, Keith.
Good morning, Sid.
I know Tim hates that.
I know, but it is morning.
We're
here in the studio early a little bit.
We are. Well, we're busy guys. It's kind of springish, kind of.
It's muggy.
It's muggy.
I mean, when I was driving in, I could barely see because of the fog.
There were a few wrecks on the way here, and yeah, it was. Let's just talk about that for a little bit. If you're not familiar with South Alabama, let me tell you what it doesn't do here. It doesn't snow. No,
but it did a couple weeks ago.
Holy cow! It snowed like some places 10 or 11 inches, and some places 7 or 8. It was crazy.
20-car pile up on the interstate about 20 miles away.
Was there?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The whole freaking world shut down in Fairhope, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it did.
It was awesome.
And I loved it because I just put my Jeep in four-wheel drive and just drove around.
I did too, but more than anything, I just walked around in awe that there was that much snow in our neighborhood.
I know, it was so cool to go down by the bay and see snow.
Yeah, on the water and stuff.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah, it was
the
nice.
Beach had snow all over it. Sorry, listeners, you probably don't care anything about that. But it was a remarkable experience for those of us that live this far south to see that much snow. And it stuck around for a while.
Those of you who don't know, when we have any kind of inclement weather, they just shut schools down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
when I'm in Colorado, like kids are going out and the snow's over their head and they're getting on the school bus, but we just can't do it.
Everything shut down, not just schools this time. I think the post office was even closed. I don't even think UPS was out.
Right. Yeah. Definitely so. I kept getting notifications that my package was.
Keith has been on it's a new year, new you kind of mindset for Keith. He's bought a whole new wardrobe, I think.
I really have. And eBay, let me give a little plug for eBay.
You got me hooked on eBay.
Man, I am getting some deals.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's your favorite brand?
Faraday.
Faraday? Still?
Yeah.
I thought you had moved on.
Well, I mean, I'm
Faraday.
into the Buck Mason right now.
Yeah,
so.
You said that.
Yeah.
I haven't found anything I like with that.
Yeah, they just have real neutral type pullover shirts. I like that,
Oh, my God. I'm just laughing at what our listeners are probably saying about us right now.
Yep, got me, and I've become like a Birkenstock guy.
You got the clogs.
I got some clogs. However,
you and my daughter,
they are called Bostons because I believe that you're not. I mean, they're hot.
Yeah. Well, they're keeping your feet warm.
They do, and I don't even have it on these socks right now.
Yeah,
so I don't know, but I just got to make. We got in the studio today, and Coastal Community College is so gracious to let us have this cool studio, but there's this, I don't know who put this here, but it says, I love cats, but I can never finish a whole one.
Yeah, I know. I took a photo.
There's a sign right here. We need to put this out on social media.
Yeah, well, I did take a photo. I'll get it out. And I sent it to my daughter who has a cat, against my better wishes.
Y'all travel with the cat.
Oh, we did.
Which is kind of interesting.
That's ridiculous. Although the cat doesn't bother me too much. I've just never been a cat guy, and whatever. My daughter, look, full disclosure, my daughter can kind of get away with anything.
Yeah.
But the reason is because she doesn't try to get away with anything except for a cat. So I'll let her have that. It could be way worse.
But you guys make her pay for the food.
We do make her pay for the food and the vet bill and everything else.
Yeah.
You will pay for everything. And she said, okay.
But that brings us to kind of what we're talking about. You're teaching her to think critically.
Yeah. Well,
is that really something she needs?
And accountability and responsibility. And trying to do that with my younger one with the dog. That has been less successful. I've got to remind him every day. Hey, have you fed the dog? How about water? Does that dog have any water? Oh, sorry. It's every day. Yeah.
So, you know how our topics come about just through our day to day, and this is
through our conversations, through our thinking and our businesses, and everything else.
You know, I teach here at Coastal also, and the term critical thinking keeps coming up in my talk, not in anybody else's.
You were having a conversation with a prominent member of our community,
right?
That has a pretty legit organization, and you were having a conversation with this gentleman, and his main concern, I don't know if it was a complaint, but maybe he was venting to you what he's struggling with, which was
I just can't find anyone that can think critically.
Yes.
And I think what he was getting to there is to just figure it out. I think the art of figuring it out is gone in especially the younger generation. And maybe that's our fault as parents by taking every obstacle away from them.
Maybe.
You know, Malcolm Gladwell in Outlier says it's not about the obstacles that you remove from your children. It's the ones that you really should place in front of them.
Yeah.
And he looked at successful families with successful kids. And he said, those families all place obstacles in front of their children that they have to crawl over. And so I find myself even still today removing those obstacles, even for my adult children. Hey, how can I make your life easier? But maybe that's not the way we should go.
Not the best way to prime them for being happy, productive members of society when they leave your home.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or our team members too.
Yeah. Well, we were going to get to that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold off.
Yeah.
I've got like most things, I've got tons of ideas. I don't know if they're right, but I've got tons of ideas. Why do you think that you said maybe it's our fault and maybe that's parenting. What else? What are some other contributing factors to, in your opinion, the lack of or the loss of critical thinking in the world, or maybe in our society, whatever?
Maybe we've scared the people around us so much of making mistakes. I was talking to another business owner that owns a pretty big media firm, and she works in the industrial. She's a media company that works in industrial supplies, which is kind of really cool.
Yeah, I know a couple of people that work in that area.
Yeah. And she said, I give my employees or team members.
She said employees.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I give my employees the right to make mistakes.
Yeah. Okay.
And even in parenting, I think we need to give our kids the right to make mistakes.
I think so too.
And not be such jerks when they do.
Yeah.
Because we've made mistakes.
100%. Let me tell you one thing. My mistakes are vastly superior to my children's so far. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just vastly superior. And so and look, there is a line there. And hey, Chris Bell says this. That's our church pastor. Plug for him, I guess. But he does a good job, and he repeats it all the time. Like, look, it's okay to parent your child, even if you made mistakes as a child. It's still the right thing. You're still the parent. It doesn't doesn't negate your responsibility to go ahead and hold them to a higher standard. You just might have a little more empathy when they do make mistakes, right? I love that, man. That always hits home for me.
And I don't know what our listeners may think about this when I say this, but you really probably can't lose more money than I have.
Oh, well, I think I have.
Well, yeah.
I think I have.
Okay, but like I'm probably in the top 5%.
Yeah, top 5%. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be in the top 1.
No.
I can tell you that. I know what those guys lose. But
yeah.
But the mistakes I've made financially.
Same.
And let me say this. You cannot be successful without making mistakes.
Well, you're sort of revealing some of my thoughts.
But you sat down when we were discussing this and planning this episode, and you said, how do we create a culture that inspires critical thinking?
Yes.
And so I think we can do that today.
Yep. So here are my thoughts on creating a culture that fosters critical thinking, because I do think that is an area of our society that has been driven out, so to speak. And these are just my opinions based on my observation from having children and myself going through life up to where I'm at now, 46 in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Keith and I have a birthday, like basically a day apart, right?
I know, 48 next week.
Yeah, this is crazy. Okay. So in those years, this is what I've observed, is that it is driven into our culture, into our psyche, and into our language to tell our children to go to school, sit at their little desk, pay attention, be quiet, sit in their box, make good grades so they can go to a good school, and make good grades there to ultimately get a good job. All of that breeds conformity, and I am just not cool with that. I went a bunch of different routes and sought education in a bunch of different places, and really sort of, I do like education. But I don't like academia. And I think I think it's tough for boys to sit at a desk and be at school for 8 hours with 15 minutes of recess, or maybe 30 minutes of recess and maybe 30 minutes of PE at another time. But, I made it through whatever. I had some troubles. I don't know if you did, but I did. And then, I've had 2 boys, and my boys are just straight up boys, and they struggle with that too. So we get to have a conversation of going, look, you have to sort of find a happy medium there. But what I really want you to fall in love with is learning things that are cool, and my oldest got really into physics. Then he got really into numbers. And then I sort of explained that math is money and money is math. And it clicked with him. And then he goes, oh, okay. And then as he's starting to make his way through college, he's really weaving his way into the finance department. He's in it now. He's really starting to dig that. And so, you can sort of let him put blinders on the constraints to academia, but then follow the areas fall in love with the areas that he really likes, and it hits home for him, and he can connect up with that. And then I'm trying to do the same thing with my youngest, and he's trying to figure his stuff out.
Yeah, your oldest son was telling me also he's really into, his health right now.
Oh my God,
and he was telling me about the perils of me eating seed oils.
Oh my God, I know.
It's funny. I said, Ezra, you probably waited to do this expensive diet too late where you have to pay for it
you
now.
have to pay for it now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on a limited income there, buddy, and well, good luck with that. And I think that flares up when he's at my house, for Christmas break, and then that flame sort of dies back down to a smolder whenever he's on his own. But yeah. And the youngest, he's really into this engineering stuff. Auburn University, shout out, War Eagle. They send a postcard to the house with the like this little monthly engineering sort of deal, and he kind of looks forward to that. He makes his little experiments and all that stuff. So if you can make education fun, I think you can create that. So that's at the child level. And when we get to business, I think most businesses, probably not the folks that are listening to us, but if you are, hear me out. Most businesses are, especially small businesses, are top-down driven, where the systems, the rules, how you operate is really dictated, not fostered from the bottom up, from the front lines back. And I think that it creates an environment of conformity. And conformity, you might as well be in communist China, where no one's going to think no one's going to think outside the box, no one's going to think critically, no one's going to question. And I think you really need to question that stuff. So,
especially if your people feel that there's going to be consequences for them thinking outside the box.
Oh my God. Yeah. So how do you create a culture of critical thinking and intellectual honesty is really what I'm trying to get at. And so I think number one is no sacred cows. That was my first note. Challenging everything, including leadership decisions.
You even have a cow on your conference table, and y'all throw it at people.
We throw it at people. Like I do have to model this behavior, but for instance, the statement that this is the way we've always done it is the worst thing I can hear at our organization. And I don't hear that as much anymore. I'll still hear it occasionally from those folks that are fixed mindseted, not growth mindseted. And I don't even know if mindseted is a correct word, but we're going with it. But even if it's something that I laid out 2 years ago and was really passionate about it, if it's not working, I want you to pick up that cow and throw it at me. Like, hey, I'm going to address the sacred cow. We all know that this isn't working. Now, I have to model that, and it might be we've had a guy or gal that's been working for us for a decade in a position. He's been elevated to a certain point, and it's just not working. He's everyone's friend, but we know it's not working. Everyone knows. I'm just going to pick up the sacred cow and say, hey, I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to address the sacred cow. This is not working. What are we actually going to do about it? Because we're not being helpful to him or her or the rest of the organization. And us as leaders need to make sure that we are ferreting this out and not creating an environment of, what's the word I always use? Sanctioned incompetence. It's not this person's fault that they've been elevated to this position, but it is his fault if he sticks there and we know it's not right. So there you go. So questioning
I was in a
everything.
meeting yesterday dealing with that very same problem.
It's I don't know if it's an epidemic, but it's pervasive. It happens everywhere. No one wants to address it because it's not that big of a deal, everyone thinks, and everyone likes the person and no one wants to have confrontation. I don't want to hurt this person's feeling. But we'll all sit around behind them and talk behind their back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We'll all bitch about having to fill in and backfill for this person. We'll all, think about them at night and going, how can we get them out, but we never take action. So if you're going to be a leader and sort of model that behavior that it's okay to question everything, including leadership decisions.
And it's okay to tell your people that they're not good at something.
It is okay. It sucks. And it doesn't make them bad people. This is the number one thing. They're not bad people. I think majority of people are good people. I'm talking 99% of people are good people. And they're making decisions that they think are right. And everyone has a ceiling, just God-given ceiling. And it's not their fault.
But before you tell them they're not doing their job correctly, you probably better make sure that you've not taken their ability to think critically away.
It could be that. You better have a bunch of conversations and say,
you may want to look at your process.
Yeah.
Is the process that you're making them abide? It's the process you're making them abide to. And this was the individual's problem yesterday, is they have these sets of rules that the people can't change.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they're sacred cows. And
this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
Ah, that's
and
crazy.
So they don't know if the employee's bad or not.
If you're a small business owner looking to take your business to the next level, listen up. My good friend Chris Francis has spent over 20 years growing his tree care business to national success. Now he's partnered with Rick Miller, you've probably heard him here on the podcast before, Harvard MBA, and business consultant to create Roadmap for Growth, an online course to help you scale, build teams, and create systems that last. It's not just for the tree industry. This course applies to any small service business. Check out treebusiness.com or hit the link on the Overlap homepage to learn more.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about my friend Wes Cody. He's the president of C2 Wealth Strategies, a financial advisory firm dedicated to providing personalized solutions for your financial needs. Wes and his team of professionals are passionate about helping clients create wealth and achieve financial freedom. At C2 Wealth Strategies, they believe in taking a holistic approach to financial planning and are committed to building long-lasting relationships with their clients, ensuring their financial well-being every step of the way. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Contact Wes and C2 Wealth today at c2wealth.com to schedule a consultation. Let Wes and his team help you build your financial future.
The next one I think is critical is creating an environment where it's data over ego. That really starts with me, but making people prove their points with data, including myself, not just gut feelings. And what do I mean by that? So if I'm going to make an initiative, I better do my homework, present a pretty cogent argument that is backed by data and not just, I got a feeling, And what I'm doing when I do that is I'm modeling, this is how you think through a process. This is how you think through a decision. I had an inkling that this was the deal. I went and did this research. It brought me to this number, and that number brought me to this thesis. And this is my hypothesis. And this is where I think we're going to go from. And it always is this same formula. I think by implementing X, or A, we can take whatever from X to Z, go from here to there by then. That's usually the formula. Implement A, and then we can improve B to C by D, that kind of formula. Does that make sense? And you're just teaching people, this is the standard, this is what I want to see in others, and I'm modeling that, right? Data over ego.
When you're speaking about numbers, Finances
usually. We're talking about business, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't think that you can think critically without having the numbers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, because facts don't care about feelings.
Right.
And numbers are kind of facts. Not kind of. They're
just
facts.
This week in my household.
Oh.
Spreadsheets don't come out a lot.
Oh. If spreadsheets come out in my household, there's a fight, son. My wife. God.
Well, it wasn't so much of a fight. It was that we had to come to a conclusion that, or an agreement that what we're doing wasn't working.
Okay.
When it comes to finances.
Okay.
In our household.
Fair enough.
The only way to do it was make a spreadsheet. And I will say, immediate tension happens when you throw out a spreadsheet in the middle of a family meeting.
Yeah. I bet.
But we had to make hard decisions.
I bet.
And so, but we couldn't have thought about the opportunities that we have had we not done that. And so a lot of times I think we just fail to give our family and team members an actionable piece of data that they can even think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in a family, it's all emotional.
Okay. Several things. Number one, and we talked about losing money right from the get-go. That I've done that a couple of times. And from those experiences, I developed a little bit of anxiety about that. Mm-hmm. And I would feel that anxiety come up. And I learned that if I put it on paper, essentially a spreadsheet, if I put it down in data that I can look at, then the anxiety goes away because then I know where I'm at. Then I can make a decision about what I need to do, where are the critical drivers really, and then what is a possible outcome, that kind of stuff. Carry that over to family. My wife does a pretty good, not pretty good, a freaking fantastic job with our budget, but it wasn't always like that. But it took us going broke and working together. I mean, I'm talking Dave Ramsey, rice and beans and rice stuff, for a couple of years to get going. But that sort of created the discipline of living on a budget every week, every month, every quarter, every year. And so now we've got a good rhythm. But occasionally I do break out a spreadsheet and talk about where we could be doing something different. And usually my wife is very resistant to looking at a spreadsheet. But it does work. It does work. And my point to all this is exactly what you're saying, is if we give them some data, some numbers, then that's some facts that we can rally behind together as a group, as a team, and we don't have to argue about it because it's not free floating out there. It is solid that we can have a discussion about something instead of an idea. Does that make sense?
The mistakes financially I have made, I would say, had I had visual data, like a spreadsheet, 80% of them probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, when I let my heart, my ego, or gut sort of overtake my, the data that I know, really my gut is the one that's, I'm looking at the data. My gut says, don't do this. But if I let my excitement over the opportunity or the idea kind of override that, that's usually a mistake. And it sucks. I know it's coming. I just have my fingers crossed, hoping this one's going to work out, and it doesn't,
And so
you and I've been there.
Critical thinking is non-emotional thinking.
Yeah. Which I think that's tough to do in a vacuum. I think that's tough to do.
Well, and we live in this culture right now where everything's about how do you feel? Yeah. Do you feel good?
Yeah.
If it makes you feel good.
I feel pretty bad when I lose money. I feel bad there. So that's where I think discipline's more important than feelings. I'll say this: I didn't want to get up this morning. I didn't want to make my lunch. I didn't want to eat something on the way. I didn't want to really train hard. I got my butt kicked by this very athletic 23-year-old Brazilian. And now my face is all jacked up. But I do feel a lot better, and I do think I got better today. But I didn't want to do it.
As he was beating you,
yeah,
was he just talking to you?
Well, I think I made him work for it a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was trying hard.
Good.
And then I would go ahead and jam my thumb into his ribs to get him to move. He did laugh about that a good time. Then he commenced to squeeze me even harder. But
yeah, because sometimes he'll just like manhandle me, and then talk to me while he's doing it.
This guy, he is an impressive human being.
He really is,
dude. So, yeah, to your point, I think discipline's way more important than your feelings. And that's, maybe part of the whole problem too, is are we teaching our people and our children to be disciplined?
I was just about to read this suggestion on this article, and it said, are you integrating critical thinking into daily operations?
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, are we taking everyday tasks and breaking them down for our team members and saying and giving them the ability to make mistakes first, learning, but then carry that out?
Yeah.
Are we giving our kids the ability to make mistakes? Are we integrating that in their daily, hey, I can't remember the last time I just told someone, hey, just figure this out.
Yeah.
Hey, I need you to do this. Just figure it out. My dad used to tell me
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. I think I heard that plenty of times. I'm trying to remember.
Hey, I don't have time to come outside with you right now.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Hey, the lawnmower won't start.
Yep.
Figure it out, son. I've remembered that. That's really what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Funny.
We had this weed
the
eater.
lawnmower.
We had this weed eater that wouldn't
Oh,
start ever.
God, you were so rich. We didn't have a weed eater.
What'd Joe do? Pick it by hand?
I don't know. I think I had to just get that damn mower up against the cyclone fence as close as I could.
Hey, I had those hand clippers.
Oh, Tim had to hit with hand clippers?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're on your hands and knees with scissors over there?
Well, Tim is older than us. They didn't even make powered equipment.
So yeah. Yeah, just figure it out.
And sometimes I think we need to tell the people that work with us, hey, just figure this out. Hey, here's this task.
Mm-hmm.
Just figure it out. I'm not telling you how to do it.
Well,
you're a smart individual. Figure this out.
I think it needs to be part of I think all of this needs to be part of a thought out culture that you as the leader is trying to foster and setting the example. That's really it. I had one more note on that creating a culture of intellectual honesty. The last one was admitting when you're wrong. So all of this was modeling, right? But admitting when you're wrong, I think that's super important because I'm wrong, right? I've got real strong opinions and I'm going to push pretty hard with that. But I'm pretty quick to go, even in my marriage, I'm pretty quick to go, yeah, okay, I was wrong about that. And I try to model that. It doesn't always doesn't always get reciprocated as fast as I would like for it to be, but that's okay. But it does keep me out of arguments that I don't need to be a part of at home. With my kids, I think I do that pretty damn fast. I'll say I was wrong about that. I'm trying to just model that it's okay to be wrong. We'll have conversations about that, but back to the workplace too. I think it's really important to say it's okay to be wrong. I've been on a series of in EOS we've got headlines, and so in most of this, creating a culture of intellectual honesty and critical thinking, it for me is driven through the EOS process, through those L10s, through the one-on-ones, through the quarterly conversations, and through the quarterly meetings and annual meetings. But admitting when I was wrong, like if you get through a quarter and you had an initiative and it didn't work out, I think it's really important for me as the leader to step up and say, hey, we tried this thing right here and we've done it for the last 2 quarters and clearly it's not working. My bad. I apologize. I had the data there. I thought I had a pretty good thesis and it just didn't work out. I think that lets people know. In the headlines, I've been running things. 2 weeks ago was change is inevitable. And I put in a quote, Stephen Hawking's. I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically the what is it? The real intellect is the ability to adapt to changing environments. That's how humans have developed over history, and the successful people have been the ones that have been able to adapt. And so I'm like, hey, if you've got a fixed mindset that this is the way you always do it, and trying anything new is going to be dangerous, and don't step out of that. I was like, I need you to self-select now, because that's not what I expect from the people that are in these meetings. If you're sitting at this table, I need you to have a growth mindset that you're willing to try some things and fail. Because failure and failing fast, admitting it quick, and taking the lessons from that is how we learn faster. Let's take jiu-jitsu. We could talk about the wins, right? And you and I have got some wins, but I remember vividly the losses. I remember them. I'm lots of times when I'm training, I'm thinking of this one guy that beat the hell out of me in Atlanta, and he was just vastly superior. Pulled guard, got a really good sweep. I know exactly what kind of sweep it is now, and And what he did when he got on top, I know exactly what he was doing. And I'm thinking about that stuff. And I'm like, that's never going to happen to me again. You know, the losses just stick with me. The wins, I don't really remember how I won. I don't really remember any of that stuff, but I remember the losses. And I think the losses are what really propel me to become way better than I ever could have become. So I want to foster that kind of thinking and behavior in the team. So I think it's important to say, hey, I was wrong. This was a mistake, but I learned this, and this, right?
I also think we have to reward.
Yeah, that's why I was jumping to that. Go ahead. Say it. That's
all.
Great.
Reward critical engagement.
I think, hey, and when people say, hey, this wasn't a good deal, hey, man, that's awesome. That's more important than it's almost even more important than it actually working out. Think of all the things you learned. Way to go, dude. I mean, that takes real guts. Normal people don't say that kind of stuff. Normal people don't come in this meeting and say, or in this one-on-one or whatever, or in the email, or normal people don't have the wherewithal to think, internally and accept responsibility and say, hey, but I learned this, and this. I think that's so much of a better process to addressing issues than deflecting and trying to make it something that it's not. And let's be honest, everyone knows if it was a mistake. You're sitting around bullshitting people that this was, it really wasn't a mistake. It was this. No. We all know. Let's just admit it. And we respect that way more. Everyone respects that way more. So I think it does need to be rewarded because people do good things because they feel good about it.
It drives me nuts. Now, look.
Here we go.
This is freaking pissing
Here we
me
go.
off. I love a learning experience.
Yeah, I do too.
But when you use that term after you make every mistake.
Oh, okay.
Everything is not, if you've made the mistake before, it's not a learning experience when you do it again.
Oh, I have made the same mistake a few times.
Well, sure. I make the same mistake all the time, but I can't use that. I can use it the first time as this experience. This is just a learn. When I put money there and we lose money in that product year after year after year, I should have learned by now.
Yeah. There's something holding you back.
So what am I? So everything is not a learning experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Because if I keep doing what I've always done, you know that saying?
Yeah, you're going to keep getting what you get.
So
if nothing changes, nothing changes.
The learning experience needs to be, hey, when I see that we're losing boatloads of money on this product, that we change it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's critical. That's the thinking part.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we need to reward that and possibly coach to make sure that, hey, this is the second time we made the same mistake. And you said it's a learning lesson. When are we learning the lesson? When are we going to do something different? What could we do differently? I like questions and those things.
I do too. And I like to ask the people that are around me, not what could you do differently to get a different outcome?
Mm.
In your department, this is your department.
Yeah.
How do we get you to understand that you need to make changes that propel us into success?
So you're putting that onus or that accountability back onto them with that particular
I'm
wording.
giving you the freedom. I'm giving you the freedom to make the decision.
Do I know what the outcome is that I'm shooting for?
That's going to be...
what my guardrails are.
That's where the critical thinking for us as leaders is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We've got to be sure that we've given them everything that they need to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time, that's where the breakdown is.
Yeah. Do we have a clear definition of what success looks like for you in your role?
Yes.
And do we have some guardrails to operate within? That's usually that's really my basic formula.
Hey, Ava.
In the talent map, that's really the whole thing that it's designed behind.
Right. And with our kids, hey, Ava, you're going to a really expensive college. Like one of the most expensive in the country.
Mm.
I believe in you, and that's why you're there. But here is the parameters or the standards in which it goes back to standards and goals.
Yeah.
So is this a far-fetched goal, or can it be standards? You've made the dean's list the last 3 semesters. I expect you to make it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, the same effort you've put in the last 3, you got to put in the next 3.
I want to take a moment to talk about someone who's been instrumental in my personal and business success. That's Johnny Barranco and his team at Barranco and Associates. For over 7 years, Johnny has been my go-to accountant and financial consultant. I can tell you that he's more than just a tax preparer. Johnny takes a holistic approach to all my financial dealings, aligning them with my long-term plans and personal lifestyle. I've recommended Johnny to several friends throughout different business groups around the country, and the feedback has been nothing short of exceptional. His expertise and service are top-notch. So if you're looking for someone who not only prepares your taxes, but also helps you strategize for the future, Johnny and his team at Barranco & Associates are the ones to call. Trust me, you won't regret it. So contact Johnny Barranco today and take the first steps towards financial peace. You're not going to regret this. So my next note on this, and you said reward, I was moving to, we need to reward thought, not just action. Does that make sense?
Yeah, explain.
Okay. So I've had, and probably currently have, folks that are busy being busy.
Definitely.
Right? So. And they're just working so hard.
I
blah,
can
blah, blah.
find myself in that place.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Busy being busy. And so I think we need to reward depth over speed and thinking over hustle. Those were my notes. And what do I mean by that? I think in my one-on-ones, I've got to make sure that I'm not just encouraging, but demanding these leaders, that especially those that are just in the hustle, grind, which, by the way, is bullshit in my opinion. Except at a certain point, you have to. If you're early on, you got to. But if you move up to a leadership role in an organization, you've probably gotten out of just doing the work, and now you're leading people that do the work. So you need to be smarter about what you're doing. There we go. So there's a whole lot of nuance in that either way. But I need to make sure that I'm not just encouraging, but demanding these people to take real clarity breaks. And those clarity breaks are generally designed like this. I want you to think about what are the 5, 6, 7 critical drivers in your role that are going to make the most movement or momentum towards your goal that aligns up with the company goal. And really, I'll sort of explain it even further. List out all the things that you should be doing. I usually design that. What's $50 an hour and up? And then let's write anything that's, $25 or less. And those are just simple thought exercises. Once they do that, let's see who can we delegate that other stuff to. And most of the time, they can delegate that to someone on their team and have them be ancillary duties to what their day-to-day is. And it allows those people to start to level up and start to think about the big picture a little bit more. So, need to reward thinking over hustle. I think you got to encourage people to pause and reflect before jumping into execution. You know what I'm saying? Just like, I think the brain wants to be productive all the time, but it's not always productive to just run and jump and do the thing that I'm really used to. I'm just doing the stuff that's comfortable instead of the stuff that really needs to be done for my role. And then I like, especially on one-on-ones, this is a good question. If they've got an idea, is what would it take for us to be wrong about this? And the phrasing of that is always interesting for me. What would it take for us to be wrong about this? It's not me attacking your idea, but I'm just sort of going around the corner about, how's this thing wrong? But it does frame it in a way that like, okay, well, it could be, what if the economy dips. We're like, we can't control that. So there's another thing. I mean, maybe we can backfill something, but what would it take for us to be wrong? Well, this foreman leaves because they're the critical person on that. Okay. Well, what are the chances of that? Well, 50-50. Okay. How can we backfill that? Can we have 2 foremen involved in that? Yeah. Well, that cuts our risk by 50%. What about 3? That kind of stuff. Just thinking through those things. But I like to reward people for thinking, not just action. That's where I thought you were going to go when you said reward too.
Yeah. I think we have to create those rewards.
I do too.
That's probably where I've failed some, is not giving the saying, hey, I want you to figure this out, but then not putting the carrot over there.
Are you good at when they do figure it out, just saying, hey man, that was a great job?
Yes.
Okay. I've gotten much better about that.
Yeah.
I've gotten much better about that. I've gotten much better about.
It's really amazing how verbal praise can inspire people.
Yeah.
And not doing it just for that manipulation. But
I was going to say, as long as you're genuine with it, I think I don't know who says it, but someone says, intent always has a smell.
Yep,
and it does.
It does.
So if you're not being genuine about it, everyone kind of recognizes it. If you're trying to bullshit some people, they know.
Oh, they know.
But if you're genuinely happy for people for trying something and having a unique idea and going for it, or thinking all the way through it and coming up with a conclusion that it's not going to work. I mean, encouraging that is really important. Encouraging them having a good clarity break and coming back with some real ideas. I love it.
But I think you have to know also there's going to be some mistakes.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with those mistakes. And you have to give the individuals, family members, kids, leeway when they make mistakes.
Yeah.
I think one of the things in this article is talking about feedback loops. And it says this. It says, implement systems where feedback is given not just outcomes, but on thought process. Encourage reflection on decisions made and lessons learned from mistakes. And I kind of was talking about that and giving leeway for mistakes.
100%.
A lot of times we over-index on performance, and I believe it can stifle our team members to not make critical thought.
Right. I think that's short-term thinking. That is probably what's most wrong with corporate America, in that, all we're working for is Q1 results, keep our stock prices X, instead of just being honest about it, that we're probably going to have 3 bad quarters, maybe 6 bad quarters to implement this new software that's going to vastly improve our efficiency or whatever, I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but it does take some innovation. It does take some change, especially at different levels in an organization, or as the world sort of moves forward and technology comes up and people and labor becomes different. I mean, you do have to adapt with that, and adaptation sometimes takes a lot more time, energy, capital, whatever resource you want, and you're going to diminish those returns for a little while to have a longer term result. So thinking long term really helps. One thing I wanted to say is this. I was going to kind of transition into this, is that we've been talking about our people that we have on the team already. And then I kind of wanted to shift to the next one, is hiring for cognitive diversity, if you will, not just a cultural fit. And so I do think, and I've gotten better and better with this, and I've tried some and it's failed, but surrounding yourself with people that will disagree with you. I think Justin will disagree with me. Jamie will disagree with me. Forrest, when he was on the team, would disagree with me. Brandon, one of our sales leaders, will disagree with me. Pam will disagree with me. But I think I've fostered that. But I've hired some people like that. And Justin was one of them. Jamie became one through the culture of that. And Forrest was one,
I believe as
think
a
that's
leader
important.
that you have to foster that, though.
Yeah.
You have to foster the ability for your people to disagree.
Yeah. In the hiring process, though, and what I was getting at was just being aware and open to the fact that I'm looking for people that may think differently and that may increase, intellectual friction, if you will, which will, iron sharpens iron kind of thing, that will sharpen the idea that you have. Because what I'm really getting at is in those L10s, the main point is the issue list. And in the issue list, everyone's going to put in issues. And the whole point is not to come up with Sid's idea and everyone adapt it. But the whole point is for us to have a really good argument about what the best idea is. And I want people to defend their ideas with facts, with data. But ultimately to get to the best idea, and I don't care if it's mine and I don't care if it's yours, I just want it to be the best idea. And I think that's tough to do if you hire people that you don't think are going to have the stones to do that. Yeah. So that was just one of the thoughts that I had. We've been talking about lots of people that are on the team. I think it's an important aspect to think about in the hiring process too.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, I hope this spurred some thought on how you create critical thinking environment in your organization.
Yeah.
If you're upset with that no critical thinking is happening, maybe it's you.
Not maybe, it is. Let me tell you one thing. And this is to me, this is to Keith, this is to anyone else that has a business. You have the business you deserve. Your decisions have led to the business you have today, right here, right now, listening to this organization, or where you're at in your career, family, whatever. You have the life that you deserve based on your decisions, based on your actions. I know that there's some things that are outside of your control, but not as many as you think. We have way more control over, especially if you live in America, way more control over the outcomes of your life and your business and your family than what most people give credence to. And so you get what you tolerate and you have the life that you deserve as well as the business. So sorry for that hard-nosed fact, but that's the case. What else? Should we end on that happy note?
I think that's a happy note. You get the life that you tolerate.
You do. You get the relationship you tolerate. You get whatever. It just is. We've got agency in our life. And hopefully that is encouraging and not discouraging, because I want you to have agency and I want you to make good choices. I want you to have discipline in your life where you're going to wake up early, do what it takes in the morning to kind of get your mind right, whether that's spiritually, physically, emotionally, whatever, maybe all of it. And then get after it and build a better life one day at a time, because I don't know who said this. Was this Bill Gates, that we all overestimate what we can do in a year and we all underestimate what we can do in a decade? Where are you going to be in 10 years? I don't know,
but I've heard that a lot. I think that's probably attributed to a lot of people.
I think it was Bill Gates, and then Tony Robbins sort of made it a bigger deal, if I remember right. But it's nothing. So. Man, that is absolutely true. Absolutely true. I would even say that we underestimate what we can do in a year too, especially if you're focused day in and day out. 300 days a year.
Definitely so.
Might be able to get your brown belt eventually.
You might.
Keith and I got our brown belts last Saturday. And if you're not into the jiu-jitsu game, that is a higher level than I ever thought I would get.
Yeah, I never thought I'd get that. And I kind of feel like an imposter right now.
Yeah, I 100% feel like one, but I go train in the mornings. I don't feel like it.
But I do look really great in the pictures. I mean, just saying.
I started playing guard. I'm a brown belt now. I need to.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I started playing guard. I'm not really pulling guard too much, but I play it, and I feel like a jiu-jitsu practitioner now. So
you know how good Jason is, Jason the wrestler.
Yeah.
You know what I've started doing when I roll with him?
Just pulling guard, just sitting on your butt?
No, I actually just lay down.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And that gets in his head, but then he just pummels me.
Well, yeah, he's an Olympian.
Yeah, I know.
It is crazy, the level of jiu-jitsu at our place.
So I want to have Jason on the podcast.
You should.
Because, I got to watch him coach the other day.
Dude, he's amazing.
And I want to talk about...
I'm trying like hell to get him to be the St. Michael's wrestling coach.
And I want to, just talk to him about the winning attitude. Because when you watch him coach, even the black belts for wrestling, it's just a different level.
Yeah, he is a singular individual that has wrestled at the highest level in that sport, and just does that. We don't know grit like that guy does. Yeah. We think we know grit. That guy knows grit.
Yeah, I was talking to him the other day, and he goes, "When I was at the Paris Olympics coaching, who gets to do that?
Yeah, man, he's an amazing, and he's in our gym. It's crazy. Yeah. Well, we better get off here. Hey, thanks for listening, man. If you're getting value out of this, please start subscribing to the podcast. You'll get a notification as soon as it the new episode comes out. I know some people that might benefit from this episode or others, so please share it with them. Spread the word. We're trying to do our best to put out some good content that will help you in your business, in your life, in your community. And if you're getting something out of it, I know 10 of your friends can. And we really only want to be helpful, so please help us achieve that. Thanks so much for listening. Anything else, Keith?
That's it. We said we were going to up our game on social, and we have. So please go connect with us there.
Fantastic.
So we've got some pretty good looking posts out there right now with our faces on it and stuff. It's good content. So share it with a friend. Overlaplife.com. Go talk to our AI bot, Overlap Echo. Ask us questions. It'll answer back.
Peace.